Hey everybody, it's another miserable podcast. I just want to really quickly hit on something that happened shortly before recording time. We found out that the legendary Sonny Chiba had passed away. I've met Sonny. He was a cool fucking dude, man. I met him at the Monster Palooza convention, one of the times he was brought in. He hasn't done a ton of horror movies, but he's done some stuff that's kind of horror adjacent that we could talk about just as a tribute to the guy. Yes, he's a martial arts movie, action movie kind of guy, and I can't recommend the Street Fighter films enough. Those of you that are gore hounds and like the gorier horror movies will like those because they're actually like really violent for martial arts movies. They've got a lot of cool practical effects for blood and guts and stuff like that. Okay. But what I really want to recommend, first of all, is Wolf Guy, which I know Kevin's seen. Zach, have you seen Wolf Guy?
I have not seen Wolf Guy.
It's about a cop that's also a werewolf that's fighting another werewolf. But, okay, it's a little cheap because the werewolf, you could just tell because they have bushy eyebrows. Like, that's what they make a werewolf like.
I was going to say, why is it not called Wolf Cop? But I think that's a different movie.
That's a completely different movie, which is also amazing, and I do recommend. Also, I want to recommend a movie he did called Makai Tensho, aka Samurai Reincarnation. If you haven't seen this movie, it is bonkers, and I love it, and I want you to see it. I don't know how easy it is to find, though. I'm sorry. I didn't research that part. I used to have it on VHS. And basically, it's kind of like historical fiction zombie movie from Japan. So basically, there's a Christian revolt. A lot of the Christians are killed in Japan. I think it's called the Shimibara Revolution. There's a guy, Amuksa Shiro, who kind of looks like a kabuki performer. And he's going and resurrecting the spirits of famous samurai and Japanese folk heroes to fight for him in a rebellion against the living. Okay. So he's doing stuff like getting the ghost of Miyamoto Musashi to fight for him and stuff. Right. And, it's pretty amazing. And Sonny Chiba plays the very much alive Jubei Yagyu who has to stop him. Okay. So these are all like, okay, like if you had a movie where like somebody was trying to resurrect George Washington to fight Abraham Lincoln, who was played by like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like that. That's like the equivalent I can think of. Okay. It's kind of like, I feel like the movie greatly influenced the Samurai Showdown games, and they have a lot of the same characters, including Amuksa being the boss of the first game. So, yeah, check it out. Also check out Message from Space, the Star Wars ripoff, directed by Kinji Fukusaku. Sonny Chiba's in it. And he's got a blonde goatee, and yeah, he's looking good. He's looking good. As we all would with bright blonde goatees. But anyway, I'd like to throw it to my co-host that doesn't have a bright blonde goatee. Zach?
Yet.
Hi.
Yet. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another miserable retrospective. Yes, we have a retrospective for you today. Really excited about that. My name is Zach. The gentleman that was just talking is the one and only Professor Casey.
Hi. Hey.
Chris could not be here with us today. He is in the midst of moving, which, as everybody knows, moving is like the biggest pain in the world. I just got done moving, but that's okay because joining us today, we are covering an Empire Pictures movie. And anytime we talk about Empire Pictures or Full Moon, we have to bring in the expert. So please welcome back to the show, Mr. Kevin Cannarile.
Hello.
Hey, bud. Thank you for requesting a later record time.
Oh,
Yeah. Because we usually record at like 7 a.m, and it's
I remember. I still lament the fact that I was so groggy on the Godzilla versus Kong one.
Oh,
I went back and listened, and I was like, oh.
I've got a giant Omega Mart cup full of tea right now, so I'm on all cylinders, bud. So I'd like to welcome any new listeners, and I'm not saying because of Kevin. No, I mean, because we were like wheeling and dealing at the convention and like talking to people and giving them cards for our
We're talking
podcast and
about
stuff.
Awaken the Spirits is the convention
Yes,
Casey's
Yeah.
referring
and
to.
we're gonna talk more in depth about that convention at a later episode. I feel like that needs to be more of like a feature. So maybe next episode. I also need to find all of my contact information for all the people I bought stuff from, so that I could talk about them on the podcast. Because I got some really cool stuff. I'm really, really happy with my haul from that con, except that I didn't buy any movies. But you guys bought movies.
Shoulda.
You wanna
Yeah.
tell the audience what you bought? Just like a little quick preview.
Sure, go for it, Kevin.
I nabbed Spookies and Night of the Creeps on Blu-ray, so I was pretty stoked about that. And I found a VHS copy of one of my favorite movies as a kid called The Kindred. I've heard it's supposed to be getting a Blu-ray release finally, but
They've
I
been
don't
saying
know.
that a while.
Yeah,
though.
it's been like every year there's like a new company, it feels like, or there's rumors about it coming out. But the movie is awesome, really rad practical effects in it. Not enough people know about it, I don't think, but it's a super cool and super weird movie. Great monster, really cool mutants too. Like a lot of cool mutant stuff in it. It's just a all around neat movie. I used to like rent that and Tremors and just watch them back to back as a kid.
Okay,
Loved it.
now, Kevin,
Yeah.
in like 5 words, tell us what you feel about seeing Night of the Creeps for the first time.
I wish I had known about it more as a kid.
6
I
words.
cannot do 5 words.
You just saw it for the first time? Oh,
I did.
Man.
I did.
It's so good.
Well, like your guys, I listened to your podcast on it, and
Hell yeah.
when I saw it at the convention, I was like, I need to finally sit down.
And if you want to hear that episode, look up the Creeps at the Drive-In episode.
Yes, and also look at Fright Rags. They just dropped like a bunch of cool shirts.
Oh yeah.
I got the Tom Atkins Thrill Me shirt.
I'll just I actually know the booth that we bought these Blu-rays at, Kevin, and I picked up Spookies as well. Also, I picked up The Last Starfighter, the Arrow release. I'm really excited to have that. The artwork is
my favorite movie when I was a
fantastic.
little kid.
It's that's the movie I always would go to when I think of just like an elevator pitch. I think of The Last Starfighter because it's such a great, just high concept idea.
So did the guy that wrote Armada and Ready Player One, since he
Yeah.
just completely stole it. Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty much. So I picked up Spookies, Last Starfighter, and I also picked up Misery because I'm a big fan of Misery, and I didn't have it on Blu-ray. So, and the collector's edition was there, so why
Now
not?
he's got the Cockadoodie Blu-ray. Who ran this table?
It is the company that ran it is called Play It by Fear. You can look up playitbyfear.com.
Solid name.
Their website says they're dedicated to providing you with those things you fear most, and their focus is on rare music and one-of-a-kind creepy creations. At the booth, they just had a huge selection of Blu-rays and VHSs. I also picked up a Monster Squad VHS from them as well. That was like $5. It was such a steal. So yeah, if you ever see them at a horror convention or you check out their website, playitbyfear.com, they have some cool.
Yeah, they're
like
the people selling
handcrafted
legitimate
goods.
Blu-rays
Yeah.
and DVDs. Yeah,
Yeah.
which
They
makes
had
them
a-
stand out.
They had a Joe Bob double feature that I regret not getting, but
I was telling you to buy that, Kevin.
I know.
Somebody grabbed it.
Well, I told someone in I'm part of the Joe Bob Patreon group for the Lost Drive-In. So it's Darcy the Mail Girl releasing like old Monster Vision segments and interviews and like behind the scenes stuff. But I told someone in that group about it, and they managed to nab it and stuff. So I know it went to a good home at least.
Yeah, dude. I gotta say though, speaking of Joe Bob double features, I finally found where I hid my my blue Joe Bobs, the original release figures, from myself. And they're kind of worth something, maybe, because they were the rare first release. I'm hoping to get them signed. So Yeah, but I have two. So if you're listening and you want to throw some cash my way, give me an offer.
I don't know. I might.
Okay, just at least 3 figures, Kevin. At least 3 figures.
Also, speaking of Joe Bob, Fright Rags just released a Joe Bob, Sgt. Pepper inspired Joe Bob Last Drive-In t-shirt. Kevin, you should check that out, man.
Yeah, I saw that with the T-Rex from Tammy and the T-Rex on it.
Yeah. It's pretty great.
Or a T-Rex that looks like Tammy and the T-Rex.
Yeah.
Remember, there's some skirting going around. Okay, so we had a poll, and I'm not going to let Zach introduce this because I won. So I'm the winner of the poll. Okay, so we're like, let's do movies that take place in a carnival or fair, because I love carnivals and fairs.
It's fair season.
It is, and unfortunately, I think I 100% missed the Ventura County Fair. I know I missed the LA County Fair.
I'm not sure the LA County Fair happened, but the Orange County Fair did, and there was a Santa Anita Fair, I think.
If Ventura happened, I missed it, because it's usually in August.
I don't know about Ventura.
But I gotta tell you, Palm Springs, their fair's the best. It's in February. So it's like nice out when you go. But Ventura is also great for those of you listening from the California area because it's right by the beach. So it's usually nice and cool. But you know, it's still in the summer. So you might get a 90-degree day where there's no air conditioning in any of the buildings. So buyer beware a little bit there. But yeah, you know, a good fair or a good carnival has some kind of horror component to it. They've got some kind of creepy dark ride. Most of them have like a ghost train or something like that. And we'll get into that during this episode because I've got some thoughts on this ride.
I do too.
Yeah. And yeah, so we had, our choices were Vampire Circus, one of the most boring movies ever made in the history of cinema. Thank you, Zach. We had Something Wicked This Way Comes, which was Chris's choice. He's not here to defend it, so I won't make fun of it too much. And
we'll talk about that on the show. It's a great movie. It's a perfect fall movie. It feels more fall to me than like Carnival Summer, but it is like about a traveling circus. So
yeah, then we have Ghoulies II, which was my pick. Which I feel like Zach had such a bad pick because I picked Ghoulies 2 immediately. When he said that, I just said, dibs on Ghoulies 2!
I let you pick Ghoulies 2, dude. I think Ghoulies 2 was in an old poll of ours, by the way. I don't remember what poll that was, but it wasn't another poll.
It was 1 or 2, yeah.
We were just biding our time waiting to cover Ghoulies 2. So.
Dude, okay, so first of all, the most famous thing... I'm sorry. Really, first of all, I won the poll. Thank you.
Well, let's give a proper introduction before we get into Ghoulies 2. Should we do that so we can like cue a music or something? You know?
Okay, yeah. Cue up some Wasp. We have the rights for that.
All right, so it's time for another miserable retrospective. Let's talk Ghoulies 2.
The carnival's back in town with all your old favorites. The Ferris wheel, the Roundup, the Octopus, beautiful girls, the Spook House, bumper cars, and a special added attraction. It's got Ghoulies too. They walk, they talk, they crawl on their bellies like
reptiles. This place is better than Epcot Center.
Ghoulies too.
Okay, so speaking of Wasp, okay? Okay. So we got to tie some shit in right now, okay? Some of this was said in the commentary for the Trick or Treat episode that we did. But this movie is very closely connected to Trick or Treat from 1986. I don't know if you guys know this or not.
No, I didn't realize that.
Okay, so first of all, the song that made a music video for this movie was used to promote this movie and plays in this movie at least 3 times is Scream Until You Like It by Wasp, okay? So first of all, Blackie Lawless wanted to be Sammy Kerr and tried out for the role, but they wouldn't take him because they didn't get Wasp for the music, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's one thing. But one, you got to be pretty, like, listening, sharp ear to pick this up because all of the versions of Trick or Treat suck audio-wise that you can watch since there's no official version of it. But this song, Scream Until You Like It, is in Trick or Treat from 1986. Oh. But it isn't by Wasp. So it was originally written by Paul Sabu, who is the son of Sabu the Elephant Boy, the infamous actor from India that had one of the greatest wrestlers of all time named after him, Sabu. And his son, Paul Sabu, had a band, which I think was also just called Sabu. And they put out a version of Scream Until You Like It. He's the one that wrote the song. And that version's in Trick or Treat, in one of the scenes where Gene Simmons is at the radio station talking to Ragman, okay? So it's kind of hard to hear, but like once you've heard the song enough times, you're like, wait, this isn't a Fastway song. This is something else. Like the whole rest of the soundtrack pretty much is Fastway, right? So you're like, this kind of sticks out. And so I looked up the history of the song and I'm like, holy shit, this is the Ghoulies II song, but it's not Wasp doing a version of it, because the Wasp version has been on my Halloween playlist for like 10 years now. Like I love that song. And yeah, it was just interesting to find. I guess I found one version of Trick or Treat to watch that had okay enough audio for me to actually notice it.
It's not. I just brought up because I have the album. It's on iTunes now, the Trick or Treat album. But yeah, they don't even have the song on the. They only have the 9 Fastaway songs.
Yeah, and what sucks is
available.
The Fastway songs apparently are what's causing it to not be released, because people that own the rights to the movies aren't Sony. Okay, Sony owns the right to Fastway music. And there's not, apparently I heard a rumor that that's what's screwing up the rights for this movie, and we haven't been getting an original release. But what's weird is internationally, Sony does distribute the movie. And so there's all kinds of shit going on. I don't know, man.
There's always weird rights stuff with a lot of these.
There is a Blu-ray release for Ghoulies too. It's just not like... It was like overseas.
We're talking Trick or Treat. We're talking Trick or Treat.
Oh, okay.
There's an American Blu-ray release for Ghoulies 2 that has the R-rated version on it, which we didn't watch. We all watched the PG-13 version, which is the original theatrical release. There's an R-rated version, but it's only like a minute longer. I think when you watch the movie, you can kind of tell where the cuts were made.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep.
But there's some gruesome stuff in this movie that still got through, and when it happens, you're like, "Oh, that was a tone shift, a little bit." We'll get to that.
So yeah, let's talk about kind of the history of the Ghoulies series. So obviously, Gremlins came out '84, and there's going to be copycats, and the two most well-known copycats series were Ghoulies and Critters. Mm-hmm. Apparently, Critters was gestating alongside Gremlins, but I'm pretty sure Ghoulies was just ripping off Gremlins.
Yeah, dude, look, there's a lot of cinematic copycats that become a genre on their own, and I just love, and this is one of them. So it's the creepy puppet subgenre, right?
Yeah.
That came out of Gremlins, basically.
Little tiny terror.
You know, there's like, I'm surprised there's not more Italian ones, actually. I guess Troll 2 would count.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Troll.
Troll
Troll isn't. No, it's Empire.
Yeah, because look at Mad Max movies, how they got like a whole Italian subgenre. Zombie movies, Alien ripoffs, Conan ripoffs. If you were a big movie in the 80s, you probably have 10 Italian ripoffs of you, and I end up liking them more than the original movie sometimes. Definitely in the case of Mad Max. If we're only talking the first Mad Max, I like some of the Italian ripoffs more.
There's some amazing Italian ripoffs. Man, is it the New Barbarians?
Yes, I own it, and it's a great film.
Interestingly, Ghoulies 2 and Critters 2 both came out before Gremlins 2, so they beat Gremlins to Joe Dante to the punch there, I should say.
Dang. I think Critters 3 might have come out before Gremlins 2.
Well, Gremlins 2 came out in 90. When did Critters 3 come out? That came out in 91, so no, it didn't come out before.
It was close.
Wait, did I just see Leo DiCaprio was in Critters 3? Holy shit.
He's a little kid in it.
Yeah. Growing Pains is Leonardo DiCaprio.
Everyone starts in horror. Everyone always gets their start in horror.
So I wasn't a big fan of the original Ghoulies. I saw it a few years back, and I remember immediately Casey's like, watch Ghoulies 2, trust me.
Yeah,
and I was like, all right.
2 and 3 are the good ones, man. Like, yeah. 3's not good, but it's good.
Yeah, the first one like it's like a slog, and like the ghoulies don't really come around until like the third act, and I was just
They
disappointed
heard our
in
complaints.
Yeah.
They heard our complaints and gave you Ghoulies 2 seconds into this movie.
it. Yeah, no,
And
this
just
feels
all
like
over the place.
this feels like Gremlins 2, basically. So, or the first Gremlins. It just feels like Gremlins. So. Let's talk about it. So, Ghoulies 2 is directed by Albert Band, of course, executive produced by Charles Band. And it's co-written by Dennis Paoli, who collaborated with Stuart Gordon a lot. He worked on Reanimator. He co-wrote From Beyond, Castle Freak, Pit and the Pendulum. So, a great pedigree there. So, Ghoulies 2, I think kind of the great thing about this movie, but also probably a weakness of the movie, is that the plot is just kind of there, sort of. There isn't really a driving like action. You're just kind of following this carnival and this older gentleman played by Royal Dano, who's Uncle Ned, and his nephew Larry, who came to visit him for the summer and study magic, because Uncle Ned is a former magician named the Great Fausto. And so he, Larry, and Sir Nigel Pennywhite, which is just the greatest name ever in cinema, played by Phil Von DeCaro, they run Satan's Den, which is the horror attraction at this traveling carnival. And so they are trying to put it together, and the son of the owners of the carnival, Philip Hardin, played by not Judge Reinhold.
Yeah.
That's all I thought of when I saw this guy, is that he's not Judge Reinhold.
And he's supposed to be like creepy, and he kind of like he is in his actions, but he doesn't act creepy enough. This guy kind of bothered me.
He does, and then there's like a really like scene with like a sweet musical score that accompanies him with one of the girls that feels really out of place, but we can talk about that later. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so this it doesn't really have a driving plot. Like Larry, the teenager, is like the protagonist, but it's just to kind of keep Satan's Den running and not get like, you know, have it shut down. But there isn't really a driving action. But that's also the nice thing about this movie. It's just kind of a relaxed watch. You're just watching these ghoulies mess around with people, and it's like the most easygoing like horror movie, because it's just like it's so fun to watch. There isn't anything stressful here. It's just like it's so silly.
The big thing is to stop the ghoulies. They summon a giant ghoulie that eats all the other ghoulies.
Yeah, we're jumping ahead, but
but we have to jump ahead because there's no plot for this movie.
Well, we can talk about parts of it. So I'll say it opens. So Larry and Ned are driving to the carnival. They have this giant semi with a huge Satan's Den decal, and I'm wondering what happened to that.
Great
trailer,
stuff.
This
is one of those things you drive by on the freeway and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's so
amazing.
Cool. So we see this like pastor running with, he has like the ghoulies in like a knapsack. He's like at a gas station and trying to escape these Satanists who are just chasing him in like red cloaks.
And apparently he has like all of them in one bag, I think.
Yeah.
Too, right?
I'm wondering how he did that.
The Satanists always just reminded me of a bunch of like college students cosplaying the dwarves from Phantasm.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Very Jawa-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are the shittiest looking Satanists I've ever seen in a movie.
They are.
Yeah.
It looks like they just finished a tennis match.
At least they don't come back ever.
No, they don't. Which is
never
surprising.
hear
It's
anything
surprising.
about them.
Why don't they come back? Anyway, so this I guess this priest, he like runs into this gas station, and there's like a vat of acid there for some reason, or he put it there. And he throws the ghoulies in there, and then he has like a
No, he was
magic,
surprised to see the acid because he thanked God for it.
he has like a magic book, and he says this incantation to like send them back to hell. And then there's a ghoulie that I guess wasn't in his knapsack or escaped, like a flying ghoulie, and he like
bat
bumps
ghoulie,
him
yeah.
and knocks him into the vat, so he's dead.
So let's talk about our ghoulie friends here.
Yeah.
We have the bat ghoulie, right?
Mm-hmm. Flying. He's not really a bat though. He's like just like a reptilian like flying
Yeah, he
thing.
flies. He flies.
Yeah.
I think he's the new one. I don't think he was in the first Ghoulies.
I don't remember
right.
one flying in the first
Yeah,
movie.
I think it was just the 4. I don't know if the frog one was in it either.
Oh, the frog might be new. The frog's my favorite one, and
He's my favorite too.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad he didn't get the puppet release. Like, I understand why they did the other ones, but so we have the frog and the bat, like they're really cool, and then we got the guys from the first movie. So we have the cat, the rat, and
Was that one supposed to be a cat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one's a cat, one's a rat. The one the one that kept doing the shooting gallery, that's a cat. Then the fish ghoulie, who is
Also
amazing.
known as the toilet ghoulie.
Yeah, also known as the giant ghoulie at the end as well.
Basically.
Yeah, and if you are a big fan of horror conventions, horror collectibles, why are you listening to the show if you're not, right? So, Trick or Treat Studios. You can buy the ghoulies. They are not cheap, and they are life-sized ghoulies. And
I think they're puppets too, like the Gremlins are.
They are puppets like the Gremlins. So if you've seen the actual puppet props that they've done for Gremlins, which you probably have, they have the cat ghoulie and they have the fish ghoulie. Plus, they also have masks coming out of the rat ghoulie and the fish ghoulie. So if you want to put on the fish ghoulie mask and run around like the eater ghoulie at the end of this movie, you can do it a lot cheaper than it would be to buy one of these puppets that are $200. The fish mask is only $50. The rat mask, $90. So that is trickortreatstudios.com. It's in the pre-order section. These are all supposed to come out October 1st.
Do you own any Ghoulies figures, Kevin?
I don't, but I'm buying both those puppets. I have the Gremlins one.
I've almost bought the little statue of the toilet ghoulie like a million times.
I've been tempted to get that, but I like the more figure stuff. And
and plus you have the Gremlins to match it, like totally.
Yeah. I want them to do a critter or something. Like I would love a crite, just to add there.
Is that the plural of the critters? A crite?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they're called. They're called the crites.
Okay. Yeah, their species is krites.
Okay.
And I had a thing with this with Ghoulies too, that because it's obviously aping off Gremlins.
Yes.
But is it also aping off Critters? Because in the first Critters movie, there is a giant critter that is taking the daughter into the spaceship, and it's like a human-sized critter. Yeah. So I was wondering if the giant ghoulie, they're like, oh, we got to have a big ghoulie because they had a big critter.
You know what? I have a theory, guys.
Okay.
I think that the giant ghoulie, and this is evidenced by the fact that it's not an original design. It is just one of the other ghoulies, but big. I think it's something left over from the first movie because they needed it for like a hero shot or something of a ghoulie. And so they had one that was like human sized. And then they're like, well, we got this one. Why don't we make a giant ghoulie and it could just be a normal dude in the suit?
I was wondering if there was something to it. Because I was like, oh, maybe that's like a promotional suit they had from or a theater thing.
Because I figured it might have been like one of those one and done shot things like the Kong and Godzilla movies, how they'll have a giant hand or a giant head that someone will interact with for like 2 seconds, you know?
They also may have been riffing on Killer Clowns from Outer Space because they take a lot of cues from Killer Clowns in the third act of this movie. It feels very Killer Clowns at that carnival scene.
Yeah.
At the end, when they escape Satan's den. So the Ghoulies, they hitch a ride on the semi that Larry and Ned are driving because they stopped at the gas station.
The beautiful semi truck. Oh my God. I love this logo. Like, I'm sure someone's put this on a shirt and I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah. So we get to the carnival and here we meet Phil Vondacaro as Sir Nigel Pennyweight, which I could just say that name all day. He's a Shakespearean actor, but he's working at this horror attraction. He plays like a demonic gorilla in this.
Okay. So this is kind of a big deal. All right. So Phil Vondacaro's his evil gorilla suit, okay? This mask is kind of iconic that he used because it's an off-the-shelf mask from Be Something Studios, which was this company that they're not around anymore, but they used to be one of those ones that was always in the back of Fangoria magazine, and you'd always see the ads, or you could like mail away for a catalog. So that company's dead now, right? But the good homies over at Zagoni have re-released this mask. So if you want to be the crappy ape demon from Ghoulies 2, you can buy this exact mask.
What is the mask called?
Okay, so it is available from Be Something Studios. It is called The Black Demon, and it is $175. A little steep, but it's an exact replica of the original mask from Be Something Studios. And it is handcrafted by Anthony Zagoni himself, which all their collector's masks are. He does everything by hand, paints them, pulls them from the molds, does everything. Very nice man. Also, Kevin and I met him at a convention.
Oh yeah,
once.
he was really nice.
Super nice dude. Zagoni Studios made a lot of really classic masks, like the mask from October Blood and stuff like that. So, check them out. You can have this costume, but okay, so he runs around in this haunted house. Okay,
Yeah.
clearly they used a real haunted house because there's a shot in there that is not supposed to be in the movie. I think that probably could have got him in some trouble. Because there's an angle that shows an exact replica of the punk zombies from Return of the Living Dead painted on one of the walls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
There's another thing that I'm surprised was in there. The hammer thing. That's a giant Mazinger Z.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I was like, how did that get in there?
Well, because it was a bootleg from the fair. Anyway.
This is like 1,000 times cooler than any horror attraction I've been to at a fair. Usually the ones I've been on are like 30 seconds long, and you like drive.
That's what I wanted to get into.
You drive down a loop, and you see like an animatronic like jump out at you for a sec, and then it goes back, and then like the ride's over. It's like,
and half the time they don't jump out. Okay, so I got a couple theories about this, Zach, because I was a little mad at this movie because it was saying that this attraction was supposed to be run down, dying business, totally horrible and all that. And I'm like, this is a million times better than anything I've ever been to in a fair.
I was gonna say, it's like a traveling carnival. How do they set this thing up everywhere they go?
Well, because it's all in that giant ass truck.
I guess. Damn, man, that's a lot.
So check this out. I have two theories, okay? One theory is that this movie's just completely wrong, okay? And that's probably the right theory, and that's probably the sane theory. But I have another one. Okay, so maybe the ones that suck now only sucked this much then, and they've been the same ones, and they've just been sucking more for like 25 more years, and they get to the sad state that they are now. That's my other theory. If you want to see the kind of rides that Zach and I are talking about sucking, look up a ghost train attraction on YouTube. You'll find a million videos of different ones around the world and how like a lot of them are almost exactly the same and how most of them suck. The one that we have here that we see the most is called the Zombie. I don't know if either of you guys have been on it. So the outside's got a big skull with a top hat on it. Does this sound familiar to you guys?
I don't remember. The artwork is always great. I don't remember what the actual ride was called. I just know.
Then you go on it and like you pass by something and a buzzer goes off to try to scare you. It's always a buzzer. It always goes and then like you walk through and then it'll be something that used to be an animatronic but it's not anymore, so it doesn't move. And it's pitch dark and you're expecting people to jump out at you, and then the ride's over, and you're like, oh, that would have been better if people jumped out at you.
Yeah. No, the ride in this movie, Satan's Den, is more reminiscent of, if you've been to Universal Studios and their House of Horrors attraction, it's much more like that than anything I've seen at a carnival.
Their mummy part of it, too.
And they have like a laboratory, and there's like a torture chamber, like a swinging saw, and an Iron Maiden. There's a guillotine.
Enough,
the electric
you watch
chair.
that laboratory closely. They couldn't get an animatronic Frankenstein, so that's a person.
Oh yeah, that was clearly a person. Yeah.
Some of the other animatronics are real crude animatronics, though. But yeah, this place ruled. I'd like to see what was behind that painting of the Return of the Living Dead. Like, what if they had a whole Return of the Living Dead area? That would have been amazing.
There's also like a study area with like a Dracula animatronic, and I think he's holding like a knife for some reason.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize that was Dracula until the guy said something. I had to look, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, he's like,
got like a super lumpy face, or It looked like he had a beard or
It
something.
was made out of like paper mache or something.
Yeah.
I have to give a shout out to some of the cast here. Again, Philip Bondacaro is so good as Nigel, Sir Nigel, I should say. It's Sir.
Sir Nigel, yes.
He like half of his dialogue is rhymes, or I don't know if it's an iambic pentameter, but he's very Shakespearean, so it's always like it's very rhythmic. His dialogue, it's great. Royal Dano, who if you guys know Killer Clowns, he was Farmer Gene Green in that, but he has a very long storied career. He
Where you
also,
going, Pooh Bar?
He also, I did not know this, but it's great because he plays like a drunk in this movie. He is the voice of Abraham Lincoln at Walt Disney World in their Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln attraction, and also at the Hall of Presidents. He's the voice of Abraham Lincoln.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we definitely have great moments in Mr. Lincoln here.
He has some really great moments because he's like, Larry wants him to like be the Great Fausto again to try and get more people to go into the attraction, which is just awesome. A horror attraction where there's like a magic show in between. That's amazing. But so he's there's this moment where like Larry's trying to convince him to do it, and Ned. Royal Dana was like, "Oh, Great Fausto, he's been gone for 20 years. Watch, he'll make this bottle disappear." And he like takes a swig of a drink and like throws it on the ground.
It's tremendous. It was tremendous. I laughed so hard. But yeah, he's a horrible alcoholic in this movie, and his life's falling apart. So we shouldn't be laughing at him. But sometimes they played it for laughs, which is fucked up. But I was sad when he died. And
it was.
The other people that die in this, not so much. Not so much.
So there are, I'm trying to figure out what part we should talk about next. We want to talk about more of what's at this carnival, because there's like an Arabian Nights themed freak show, essentially.
Yeah.
There's reptiles.
We don't see the reptiles, though.
We don't
just
see the
mention
reptiles.
The ladies are reptiles because
Yeah,
they
They're
wiggle.
belly dancers.
Yeah, that's their thing. They're reptiles.
We're reptilian. We crawl on our belly like
But they got,
reptiles.
we got a strong man, we got a bearded lady, got a juggler, fire breather.
And we've got Larry is a dick and insults Sir Nigel and says go work in the freak show because he's a little person.
Yeah.
No, it's
he
not.
gets
It's not
really
Larry.
mad.
It's not Larry. That's Philip. Larry is the good guy protagonist teen.
No,
Philip.
no.
Larry.
Him and Larry have like a fallout. They have
When he
like, a
brings
little
him the
argument.
coffee and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, I don't even remember that scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's after his uncle dies.
There is a moment. So Philip Hardin, the antagonist of the movie, he wants to replace Satan's Den with a ladies mud wrestling tent.
It's the 80s.
Yeah,
That was a huge thing.
it was.
Vince Neil loves mud wrestling.
Oh gosh, there's so many. One of my favorite scenes in this movie. These two little kids go through this attraction, and I'm convinced one of them was Casey, because this kid is just making fun of everything in this attraction. He hits the flying bat. He super kicks the mummy. Again, pretty sure it's Casey.
Yeah, kid was the shit.
And he's like, "This is all fake. This is bullshit." And then they see one of the ghoulies like messing around with the guillotine, and the ghoulie like upchucks on the kid. So the kid breaks out a ninja star and just chucks it at the ghoulie.
Yeah,
Again, I'm
dude.
pretty sure this kid was Casey.
You used to be able to get ninja stars.
Yeah, like, was
at,
there-
fairs? Yes.
There must have been like a booth like that episode of South Park where this kid just bought a ninja star.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. South Park wasn't kidding. It's just that we live in California and it's against the penal code here. But other states,
Back home, you could buy some crazy stuff at our local fair. We never had a horror house, though. But you could buy like some legit weird ass shit.
which is
stuff.
kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. A lot of bootleg DVDs and stuff too there.
Yeah, the kid was actually Donnie Jeffcoat, who those of you that grew up watching Nickelodeon, he was one of the hosts of Wild and Crazy Kids.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. And so the main kid, the one that was really talking smack and got barfed on.
I was gonna say I'd like to point out that the last two horror films I've watched both had ninja stars in them. I'm not complaining.
Ninja stars are great, dude. They're just some of them are for show and some of them really work. You know.
So these kids like run out of the attraction and they tell this large group of people, because they're not into it, and all of a sudden this ghoulie upchucks at them and they're like, "Oh, this is awesome!" And they tell this group of people, of like older people, and you hear someone go, "Oh man, I love that stuff. That's terrific."
Yeah, it puked on me. It ate my ninja star.
That's terrific. Let's go. Oh,
Good
gosh.
stuff. I loved it. And yeah, those kids, they had a good time.
We also get a bunch of rowdy teenagers, of course, that give Larry shit because they have a boombox they want to bring into the attraction. Larry's like, just turn it down a bit. And they like,
My
flip 'em off.
tunes! My tunes! Okay, so these teens are really annoying, but their friend that they ditch with his shitty little vest.
How is he their friend? That's what I was wondering.
Why does he have this leather vest with the tassels when he's clearly like the nerd? I don't. I mean, yeah, it's a stupid vest, but like, why is he dressed like Terry Bam Bam Gordy in the 1980s? I don't get it. Or like Andre the Giant on his Japanese tours. It's like, yeah, I don't get the fringe vest. Maybe he bought it at the fair. Maybe the deleted scenes for the R-rated version have him buying that vest and putting it on.
We're talking about all this stuff out of order, but we get a scene with Ned where he's rehearsing as the Great Fausto. Again, he's super drunk, and he like recites this incantation from the spell book. I think it's the same spell book that the priest had, because I think it was the Ghoulies brought it with them or something. I'm not sure how they have
they
it.
had it in their hands. They dropped it. Yeah.
And so he's saying an incantation, and then he sees the Ghoulies, so he thinks he summoned the Ghoulies, and he tries to show Larry and Nigel, and they don't believe him because he's just drunk as shit. So he sneaks back into the attraction like the next night to try and prove that they are real, and he tries to command them, and they end up electrocuting him to death. I think the death scenes in this movie, it's clear that they cut, obviously this is a PG-13 cut, so they cut some of it, but if you're looking for like super gory stuff, you're not going to get it here.
Oh.
This is more along the lines of like, I guess what you would see in Gremlins or something.
Okay, let's talk about difficulties with tone here for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Ghoulies eventually kill a lot of people, and people get wise to it and start trying to shoot them and hunt them down, right? Mm-hmm. And up until this point, most of the deaths are from the same switchblade. It's really kind of boring. But they get loose, and they're in the fair, and they're causing havoc, and
eventually they escape.
One guy, the ghoulie, gets into a giant boxing glove and punches him in the head and knocks him out. Okay? So you're like, oh, and it's got very slapsticky cartoon stuff. So then we go to a dunk tank with a clown in it. The clown falls in the water, and then the fish ghoulie rips his arm off and eats it. And I'm like, the other guy just got hit in the head with a boxing glove. What the hell, dude?
Yeah, it goes from like the cat ghoulie shooting the little toy gun, and they're like running back and forth behind the thing, acting all goofy, like trying not to get
Total
hit with the
Gremlin
bullets.
scene.
Yeah. It's all just goofy gremlin stuff. Clown gets an arm eaten.
Yeah, they one of them knocks a girl off of a bumper's car and then like runs her over, but it looks like it's very gentle. But
yeah. Then the guy gets his arm completely ripped off.
Then one of them hot wires like or unchains like a spinning ride, and it like shoots into the air and explodes.
Yeah, like a huge explosion, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Roller Coaster Tycoon when you would just like stop the track and like shoot people off and they would explode.
The clown though, surprisingly bloodless arm, like. There was no blood in the water.
There were a couple more frames in the R-rated cut that they cut out of the PG-13 one that show a little bit more.
They had some blood in the water originally. We just didn't get to see it apparently. But I mean, come on, blood in the water is acceptable. Look at Universal Studios Hollywood, man. Jaws eats a dude and blood squirts in the water, and it's been there since like the 80s, and no one's got mad.
It doesn't squirt in the water. It's like a hose.
It's like.
There's a pretty funny scene where Philip Harden, Nigel's letting him borrow his trailer, and so he tries to bring the girl, one of the dancers in this movie, who ends up being Larry's love interest, named Nicole, into the trailer because he wants her to bring back her trapeze act, that she doesn't want to do it because her brother died, or her brother died.
She's afraid of heights now.
Yeah. But they go into Nigel's trailer, and I guess he hadn't been in there before, and Nigel has like a really small bed and a really low table. Low chairs,
which is tremendous.
It's a weird scene though, because they're trying to make it seem romantic, and Philip's like an asshole. Like,
I do gotta say though, Nigel has a regular sized toilet. Pays into it. Well, it's because I used to work at Toys R Us. They had little toilets for kids. Yeah, They had little tiny kid toilets, and I'm like, oh, that's funny. And then I look here and I'm like, oh, he has a regular sized toilet. But you know what? A ghoulie wouldn't fit in a little toilet.
Probably not.
Maybe the regular
Right.
sized toilet came with the trailer, and he had to supply all the other things.
I think the biggest disappointment with this PG-13 cut is spoilers, but Philip's death. Someone eats his dick, I'm guessing, on the toilet.
Or his butthole. It's one of the two.
I thought
He's
it
like
was
sits
his
on the toilet.
balls.
Something something gets eaten, but you don't see it, and you just see him yelling and acting.
We need to compromise and say at least his gooch got eaten, and then everything else is just like, ancillary at that point. We never see the body.
The big ghoulie could open its mouth pretty wide, so the tiny ghoulie could probably get all three
Just
in one go.
And he had the worst fangs too.
So-
Yeah, he did.
To defeat the ghoulies, our three heroes, Larry, Nicole, and Sir Nigel, decide they need to summon something from this magic book.
Which gets yanked from them, and then she has to overcome.
The
her-
flying ghoulie has to. He steals it out of their hand while they're trying to recite it and drops it
Just
into one of
so
the rides
Nicole
on
has
the Ferris
to-
wheel. Yeah.
She has to face her fear of heights, which is shot just like her just regularly climbing up there, like
Yeah.
she's done it every single day of her life. There's no trepidation, there's no hesitation at all. She's just going and getting it like it was day one.
Yeah. They have this big like Phoebe Cates style buildup, of like her tragic backstory, and then it's just like she just shimmies up there with no problem. And you're like, oh well, that's not really a payoff, but
Sorry, but that tragic backstory is one of the most hilarious things in cinematic
We get a
history.
pretty
Phoebe Cates one.
what feels like lengthy sequence of this monster they summon just slowly walking around and eating the ghoulies, like every single one.
He can detect them by smelling them, but then he sees Phil and thinks that Sir Nigel is a ghoulie. This doesn't make sense with what was established 2 seconds earlier that he can smell these things out.
the first movie has the he summons the two little people that are his helpers in the first movie too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a connection. Isn't Phil Fondacaro he's not one of the two in that, because there was a girl and a guy in the original.
Yeah, nobody comes back, despite what IMDb says, which is wrong, saying that Nicole was in both movies. She's not.
No, I'm going to say huge missed opportunity. Phil Vondacaro, Sir Nigel, should have been the protagonist in the sequels following this. Come on. Like, really? Come on.
It should have been like Phantasm. It should have been
Yeah.
him and Larry just like...
Yeah, Larry is great,
fighting
too.
us.
I
yeah.
really liked... Damon Martin's really likable. I know Billy from Stranger Things is mainly supposed to be based off of Rob Lowe, but I think they might have taken a few cues from Damon Martin in this movie, because pretty similar. He's great. I really enjoyed him in this film. So the big ghoulie is walking around. They get some explosives or fireworks and put it in like a dummy, and the ghoulie eats it. and they blow him up.
It's Phil's costume, dude.
Yeah.
They blow up that Be Something Studios Black Demon mask available from Zagoni. That mask used to be like $135 for a replica. The original mask was going for a lot more than that, and they blew it up. There's some mask collectors that probably got pretty mad at that. In retrospect, that was an expensive mask. But I didn't like how they killed the ghoulie. Like it was obvious. Like there's a very thin plot in this movie, and so everything that they do has to pay off, because except for the Satanists that we never see again. And
The Satanist should have come back at the end.
yeah. And then nothing's explained to why this looks exactly like the fish ghoulie, even though all the other ghoulies are different. And fish ghoulie
Yeah.
eats a guy's butt and still is alive, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We have to have the ghoulies get out so that they can go to college.
And learn to talk.
Yeah, and learn to talk. I think
do
that's
they
when we
talk in
turned
the
it.
next- do they
Yeah,
talk in the third one?
I think
I
that's
really
when
need
me
to
and
watch
Kevin
this.
turned it off. Is when they started talking. The one
The
time
fourth,
we were
the
watching it
fourth
together.
movie is weird. It is a complete departure.
Which one is that?
It's just two like little people in like monster suits that are like wisecracking, and they're being chased by this lady in like a black latex outfit.
Yeah, it feels like a Munchie movie.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah, okay.
So how verbose are the Ghoulies in the third one? Like,
They talk a little weird, but they still
They
talk.
drink beer. They're frat boys, kind of.
Yeah, they do like Three Stooges gags all the time.
Yeah, they stick a plunger on a girl's face and it stretches her face out when they pull it back.
because in
stuff.
like
It's
the
like a
first
cartoon.
Gremlins, in the first Gremlins, Stripe will be like yum yum and Billy and Gizmo, but that's about it. Like,
Oh,
no, it's like
they
full
talk.
sentences.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Like
They're
they have the
educated
lines.
now.
Yeah, they're in college, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, they wear clothes too, I think. If I remember right.
Eventually, don't they have like Letterman jackets or something
Yeah.
like that? Yeah.
How are they? I mean, I guess one of them survived this, but how are the rest brought back?
They don't explain it.
Yeah,
It just
no.
happens.
I think Kane Hodder's in the third one too. Isn't he? I
He
think so.
might be. The timing would be right. But yeah, they summon them kind of from a toilet in the third one, but it's like an ancient toilet.
So, do we have closing thoughts on Ghoulies 2?
Yeah, dude, watch this movie. Like, I needed to be reminded how fun this movie is, and I liked this movie. And watching it, it just gave me good vibes, man. Like, it was fun. It was funny. Like, I gave it 4 stars. 4 stars on Letterboxd. Gentlemen, what say you?
Yeah, I loved it. It was one of my favorites as a kid. I always watched it. Yeah, it's a good kid intro to horror movie.
For sure.
Yeah, it's not like there's not like objectionable stuff in it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few F-bombs, but it's not too violent except
Yeah.
for the guy getting his arm ripped off.
And
Yeah.
and it's like one of those where it's like there's scary moments, but it's so goofy most of the time with the Ghoulies.
And they
Yeah.
kind of look like shit.
Yeah.
I need a gif of Sir Nigel flipping off Philip. That was great. More Sir Nigel Pennyway. I love that character so much.
He's great.
Phil Von DeCaro is the man. My rating for this is 3.5 out of 5. This is so much fun. Everyone should watch this movie. It's great.
Do you got a number, Kevin, if you had to give it 5 stars? I know you're not a Letterboxd guy, but
Oh, I'd probably give it 4.
nice.
I'd probably
nice.
give it 4.
It's good. It's a good one.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the bathroom, Ghoulies 2. They'll get you in the end again. Ghoulies 2.
So yeah, that was our Ghoulies 2 retrospective, everybody. Maybe we will get to the sequels at some point. Really, I was going to say, you could probably skip the first one unless you just really want to be a completionist. Just go straight to Ghoulies 2. There's no connection between them whatsoever.
No, that which is smart because
Yeah.
like Critters 2 used to always be on TV.
But I think
So I've seen that a million
isn't the main character from the first Ghoulies in the third one? Am I wrong? What didn't I feel like I
don't
noticed
know.
that when looking at the cast. I'm pretty sure.
IMDb's wrong though because they're saying that the girl from this one was in 1 and she
No,
wasn't.
it says I don't know if he's playing the same character, but I think he's
There might be. I know one of them has like flashbacks to the first Ghoulies.
Yeah. One of them shows clips, and that could be the clip that's being shown.
I can't remember. It's been ages since I've seen the third one.
Yeah, me and Kevin tried watching it like 5 years ago, and we didn't get through it.
Huh. Okay. Anyway, so if you want to see another completely bonkers film set at the carnival, please tune into my review of Carousel, my mini review that I just posted a few days ago.
Carousel.
Carousel. I guarantee you guys will dig the hell out of this. It's ridiculous, and there's some fantastic practical effects here. If you want to see what you can do with a really kind of small budget, watch Carousel because it's so much fun. If you dig things like Basket Case or Troll 2, you're gonna like Carousel. So please tune into that. It's a lot of fun, and that's on Tubi.
Oh,
so
and I gotta give a shout out to Suicide Squad. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, check that out.
I've got a movie that I was surprised wasn't on your guys' list.
Okay.
It's like one of Tobe Hooper's best movies.
Oh, the Funhouse.
Funhouse.
Yeah, Funhouse
Yeah.
is great. Yeah.
No, I almost put that. It just seemed like too obvious. I was trying to go a little outside the box. That's why I didn't pick it. But
Dude,
yeah,
do you know
of course.
how I found out about Funhouse? And this is gonna be a
Sci-Fi
little-
Channel.
No, there was this book, and it was written by Jeff Rovin, who was the guy that used to write those How to Win at Nintendo books. And it was a monster encyclopedia that they used to have at my high school, and it had everything in there. Like, and he was in there as one of the monsters in the monster encyclopedia. But I mean, like, it had everything in there. It had the Penosaurus from Flesh Gordon in there, which I'm like, why is this in a book targeted towards kids? Because it clearly was targeted towards kids. And yeah, but yeah, they had him in there, and I'm like, this guy looks really cool.
Yeah, I
And,
think his name's Gregor. It's something with a G, I thought.
And he has a mask available. Trick or Treat Studios, probably. I would think it was them.
Do they have the mask he wears though initially? Because doesn't he starts off with the Frankenstein mask? Doesn't he?
That one you got a license. It's kind
Is
of
it?
universally. Yeah.
I always remember it kind of being like an off-brand Frankenstein.
Oh, it is, but now you get in trouble for off-brand Frankenstein.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, if it's got bolts in the neck, you get in trouble.
I thought that was the thing, was like you couldn't use the bolts and then you couldn't use the lightning in Brides.
Oh, let's see. Rare Frankenstein mask. This might be an official Universal mask, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the Universal Frankenstein enough that you would have to have that licensing to do it now. Green face, bolts on neck, stitches in head, all things that Universal sues you for now.
Yeah. Okay.
And very closed eyes. Very closed eyes. It's like Ghost of Frankenstein.
Weirdly enough, I always used to get Funhouse and Castle Freak mixed up as a kid. Like I always
the guys
thought
look
the
alike.
monster. Yeah, I always thought the monsters were reversed and stuff. But Castle Freak had a really cool. Very different movies.
Yeah. Very different levels of appropriateness for people watching it too. Yeah, Castle Freak's it's Stuart Gordon. That's all you gotta say.
If people really like Phil Fondacaro in Ghoulies II, he's in two of my other favorite Empire and Full Moon movies.
Don't watch Creeps. Don't watch it.
And Blood Dolls.
We've already done a Creeps episode.
We haven't talked about Blood Dolls yet. Maybe that'll be next,
Blood
Kevin.
Dolls.
No. It's just a shittier Puppet Master. Come on.
You have to give Charles Band credit for like
He was just trying to make toys, bro. That was when they came out with toys.
He's trying to make toys in all his movies, but he has made a career off his like tiny thing fetish or whatever it is, because he puts that in every movie.
No, I think the first thing I saw Phil Fondacaro in, I think, was Willow. And then I saw him in the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen Double Toil and Trouble film, which actually is not a bad movie. It's pretty good for what it is.
I don't even know.
Good.
Like I couldn't place it because he's been in so many horror movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
the man. Sometimes he does cons out here too.
He does.
Sometimes
He was at a con we were at the other a couple of years ago. Yeah. All right, let's plug the social media here as we wrap things up. If you'd like to follow us, we are on Twitter at twitter.com/AMPHorror, or just look up Another Miserable Podcast. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube at Another Miserable Podcast. Make sure you go to our website, anothermiserablepodcast.com. You'll find all the services we're streaming on there. You can also just listen to the episode straight from that website as well. Casey, where can they find you?
I'm at Lucha Gringo on Twitter and on Letterboxd.
Sweet. Kevin, my friend, what are you? You have a couple Twitter accounts, so plug away.
I am the Kool Ghoul, cool with a K, and the _ Ghoul at KG Cannarile, Cannarile. And I am currently working on a new project that will be out in hopefully by September. And that is, let me bring that up, Kool Ghoul Radio on Twitter, cool with a K. And that's going to be a horror story narration channel hosted by a shock jock from Beyond the Grave. So
You guys are going to want to tune into that. We've seen, Casey and I have seen the masks that he has for this character. It is so cool.
The Ghoul has incredible production value, let's just say. Yes.
Make sure to follow Kevin, guys. He did our wonderful artwork. Thank you again for that, Kevin. It looks fantastic. Really psyched to have that.
His project, Kool Ghoul Radio, will definitely appeal to anyone that is listening to this podcast voluntarily. If you're listening to this podcast under duress, call the police. Thank you.
Oh, and PSA to Spirit Stores of America, choose Kevin to be the Halloween representative, whatever that contest is. Choose the Kool Ghoul.
Ambassador of
ambassador of Spirit Stores.
The Kool Ghoul embodies everything Halloween.
Hell yeah.
Yes. Except for circus peanuts, because nobody likes circus peanuts.
I just finished a meeting with my composer for the theme,
sweet.
and I went with someone from Italy who is a big fan of cheesy 80s horror, like demons and stuff like that.
Their name rhymes with Mario Margento.
We're going to need to get you on the podcast as the Kool Ghoul.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he'd love it.
You can follow me on Twitter as well. Twitter.
No, and we still make them wear the full gimmick, even though we're not a video podcast. Just
I
to
would.
Sweat.
I would.
You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/earth2zach. That's earth, the number 2, Zach, Z-A-K. Also on Letterboxd and Instagram under earth2zach. Same username. Make sure, one other thing I want to mention, please, we have a new Gmail, anothermiserablepodcast@gmail.com. So if you're interested in collaborating with us, you'd like to appear on the show, if you have a movie or a project you'd like us to review
if you
or
met
talk
us
about.
at the con, email us and say hello.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to promote your stuff. So anything at all, please send us an email, discussion topics, anything, poll ideas, retrospective ideas. Just want to say hi, please send us an email, anothermiserablepodcast@gmail.com. Or if you'd rather, you can just send us a DM on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Awesome. I don't know about you guys, but I drank so much tea during this episode that my back teeth are basically floating. So thank you again, Kevin, for coming on.
Thank you, Kevin.
This is great.
And make sure to follow Chris on Twitter as well, twitter.com/Chris Pistol, KRISPISTOLE.
Yes, Godspeed on the move, Chris. Godspeed.
Yeah.
Take it easy, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you guys soon. Later.